Boy, oh boy, have I been looking forward to talking about this certain topic because it doesn't just involve the next generation Xbox Series X console. No, instead it focuses on the most important aspect of a console and a platform, which is the games. And if you've been an Xbox fan for a little while now, you know that the main complaint people had with the platform this entire generation was the lack of games on the platform. I'm sure you heard the saying, Xbox has no games, which at the time was a hot take that everyone was saying to get clicks or just to be funny. But ever since 2018, when Xbox started to invest in their ecosystem and wanted to expand their first party, no one, and I mean no one, figured they'd invest this much. They went from 5 or 6 studios all the way to 23 studios with all the acquisitions they've done. Now, while that's a massive accomplishment in and of itself, that doesn't mean that gamers aren't looking forward to the potential new AAA games coming down the pipeline. And because of that, I decided to hunt around a little bit and look at what could be coming as exclusives to the Xbox platform over the next year. Because we have to remember, everyone, Bethesda was a massive, and I mean massive, get for Xbox. They're a huge publisher and would routinely bring out 2 or 3 big games a year. Be it Doom Eternal, which is getting Game of the Year considerations, or Wolfenstein, and of course Fallout and Elder Scrolls. So when we look at the slate of games coming in the next year or so for Xbox, we have to take into consideration the amount of games they can bring out every year. And that's exactly what's being talked about by a lot of industry insiders and a couple of hints that were floating around. Because I have a feeling, because of Bethesda, Xbox might have a couple AAA games hidden in the background that we don't really know about. And some of those games might actually be coming out in the next year or so. Will they come from just Bethesda first party, or will they come from the already established first party studios that Xbox has built over the last 2 years? Either way, let's get into these rumors and see what new AAA games might be coming to the Xbox platform. Because I have a feeling some of these games might surprise some people, especially with the amount of content Bethesda can output for the already impressive Xbox Game Studio family. So let's just get into this. But first, like always, if you like the video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. Alright, so let's get into these rumors because there's a lot of them, and honestly, if some of these rumors are true, this would put Xbox's first-party output for 2021 on a whole other tier. Because next year, we don't really have a lot of announcements when it comes to games. We might have some awesome third-party games like the Batman games or some other Ubisoft games like Far Cry 6, which looks really great, but we don't know much about Xbox's first-party games for the year 2021. We know what they have for the launch of the Xbox Series X system and what we should expect to close out the year in 2020, but outside of Halo Infinite, which was supposed to launch this year, we really don't have a great idea of what they'll bring out to us in 2021. I mean, let's just look at the facts really quick. Sony's PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 will have titles next year in 2021. They have Horizon 2 Forbidden West, which is going to be a massive game that really sells a lot of PS5 units. They also talked about God of War Ragnarok, which is going to be another massive game that comes out next year and will for sure get Game of the Year consideration, considering how great the first God of War was, even though I think that game will be delayed into 2022. When you take all of that into account, you can see that Xbox truly does need to come into next year with some surprise first-party games. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about, because after the Bethesda purchase, I truly think that Xbox has some games in the background that a lot of people aren't really talking about. And those are massive games that will help usher in a new generation with the Xbox Series X. Which brings me to what Globreal had to say about the new studios that joined Xbox and what they might be working on. Here's what he had to say. Let's have a speculative look at the next Bethesda studio soon operating under the Xbox banner. Machine Games is likely deep into development on Wolfenstein 3 running on id Tech 7, finishing the new trilogy. Open positions may suggest there's a second team working on multiplayer. Alright, so first off, let's call this what it is, which is speculative talk, because nothing has been confirmed, but again, we have to look at history and understand how game development works. Now, the one thing we can all agree on is that ZeniMax, which is a massive game publisher that owned all of Bethesda studios and games that came with it, are now with Xbox. All those studios would bring out 2 AAA games a year minimum. So when we look at next year and the delays that might have happened, I wouldn't be surprised if we got multiple games released by them. I'm talking maybe around 3 or 4 games. Now, 2 of those games will be Deathloop, which is exclusive to the PS5 for a limited time, not to mention Ghostwire Tokyo, which again will be a timed exclusive for a little while. But after that, I think we will start to already see some of the big games from Bethesda hitting the Xbox store. One of which is this Wolfenstein 3 game that Machine Games is working on. Now, if you know me, you know that I love, and I mean love, the Wolfenstein games. I find them brutally fun and straight savage at times. And because of that, I've beaten all of the new games that have come out for this storied franchise. And if you look look at the development time of the studio, you can see that the next big game is just around the corner. Look at this graph I have up on the screen, and look at the games they develop and the games they help develop. Now, you have to realize some of these are co-developed, so they just helped a little bit with other studios. A lot of publishers tend to do this, where they allocate some resources across studios to help finish a game off. But if you pay attention to the two main games that released in 2014 and 2017, you can see that they usually have a 3-year development cycle. As you can see right here, in 2014, they brought out the first Wolfenstein game, which was so much fun to play. Now, that game revitalized the franchise and opened up the door to the second game, which is Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. But if you look at the development time, it took them about 3 years to get that game out, which, if you would guess, the next game would come out 3 years later. Now, I know that means the game would have come out in 2020 and be announced already, but since the current situation around the world has already shaken things up, I have a feeling this game was given an extra year of development time to get it right. So this game could truly come out next year in 2021, which would give the development team at Machine Games a full 4 years to make a new Wolfenstein game. This would give Xbox a brand new AAA game ready to go on Game Pass and have it exclusive to the platform next year. Not to mention, draw a bunch of gamers to the platform that are already invested in the franchise. It's something I think a lot of people forgot about in the shuffle of the new big acquisition. Not to mention the exclusive deals that Bethesda had with Sony's Ps5 with Deathloop and Ghostwire. I think those exclusive deals really pushed everybody's mind away from some of the other studios that they have at Bethesda. We have to remember, they have 8 big studios that are making big games. So I know this game will attract a lot of people to the Xbox platform because of how popular the franchise is. Not to mention, it's still one of the best looking games this entire generation. So I find this game to be a huge get for Xbox next year, because it will be one of the very few new studios that will pay off huge already for Xbox's platform. Don't get me wrong, I know the other studios will show up in the coming years, but this is almost an instant positive for a new studio that joins the Xbox platform. Which brings me to the last game I think will really push people onto the platform, and that's Starfield, which is going to be one of the biggest games this entire generation coming up. It's the big new IP from Bethesda Game Studios, who are the team behind Fallout and Elder Scrolls. I have a feeling this game will truly come to the Xbox platform and push the system to new heights. I say this because a lot of people think it's coming to Sony's Ps5, and while it still could, I have a feeling it won't. And if you look at what Xbox has to say about the game, you can tell they are focused solely on the Xbox platform and Xbox Game Pass. Here's what they had to say. Bringing Bethesda games to Xbox Game Pass. As we shared, Bethesda were early supporters of Xbox Game Pass, and we will be adding Bethesda's iconic franchises to Xbox Game Pass for console and PC. One of the things that has me most excited is seeing the roadmap with Bethesda's future games coming to Xbox console and PC, including Starfield, the highly anticipated new space epic currently in development by Bethesda Game Studios, and Doom Eternal, which is coming to Xbox Game Pass on October 1st and for PC later in 2020. We have been waiting for this moment for a long time, and now it's finally here. We are entering the next generation of gaming, and it looks and feels unlike any before it. With crossplay connecting people across platforms, Xbox Game Pass continually bringing new experiences to discover, and cloud gaming making it possible to play anywhere, there have never been more ways to play with Xbox. Now, if you look at this right here, you can see that Xbox and Bethesda are already focusing on the announced Starfield game. And they're even talking about it being on Xbox Game Pass and how it will come to the Xbox and PC platforms. Notice how they never really mention anything about any other platform and never mention it in any other way. It's always focused on Xbox's platform and what it brings to the table. This is why I have a feeling this game is going to be announced next year around the summertime and be released around holiday next year, much like they did with Fallout 4, which will give it the prime release date for the 2021 holiday season. And this game is massive, people, and it will stand up to other competitive games like Horizon and God of War. It's that big of a game, which brings me to what Xbox can provide all of us gamers next year. I mean, think about it. We will have Halo Infinite, which is going to be one of the biggest first-person shooters of the year. We'll be getting Starfield, the biggest RPG of the year by far, coming to the platform. And then you can close it out with Wolfenstein 3, which is going to be one of the best single-player games of the year. That's 3 massive AAA games coming to Game Pass in 1 year. And I have a feeling they might announce one more game from a studio we forgot about. So don't be surprised if Xbox released 4 AAA first-party games next year. That's a massive accomplishment, and also fits into the investor meeting they had last year when they said they want to release 4 AAA games a year, or pretty much every 3 months. Well, with 23 studios, they have the power to do just that. Let's hope they can execute this plan perfectly, because I think it will really shape up Xbox great for next generation and really push a lot of Xbox Series X units. But enough of what I think about all this. Tell me what you think about all this. Do you think Wolfenstein 3 is coming next year? Is Starfield going to come out in 2021? Do you think Halo Infinite will release early next year or in the summer? What game out of the 3 mentioned excites you the most? What other studio do you think will release a game? Is there another hidden game we forgot about? Can Xbox really release 4 AAA games a year, or can they release even more than that? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there, so get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamertag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing, and let's compete in achievements for the month. Right now, I've been playing a lot of Dishonored 2. I'm really enjoying the game. It's a lot of fun, very brutal, and again, it's another Bethesda game that's come out that I've really enjoyed. I know Arcane Studios made it, and it's a lot of fun. I really recommend people check it out. It's on Game Pass right now, and probably never leaving Game Pass because it's first party, so I really think everybody should check that game out. But tell me what you're playing. Are you going down through your backlog? Are you playing a new game, or are you waiting for the new systems to come out to jump into all those new games coming out in late October and early November? Go down below and let me know. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.